Denmark, we are one of the leading countries in the realization of the SDGs. And over the last years, we have not proceeded number 3. So we want to, through this encounter, share our experience as the government, as the people of Denmark, why we have realized the SDGs to the great extent that the country has. 1, the SDGs are embedded in all the national documents, from the central levels to the district or regional level. For us, it's more of municipalities as the locals. And of course, this is also something that is implemented in Uganda. If you look at our NDP, our district development plans, they are embedded there. But then the difference that comes also is actually the reporting. Our counterpart for U-boats, that is Denmark statistics, is very strong at reporting, and none of the data falls through the cracks. But then here there are some gaps where some information definitely falls through the cracks. If you look at our participation as Ugandans, you see that our rating is a little down, and sometimes, and it's also something that we discussed in Denmark together with the champions, because we are only, as Uganda, we are only at 54%, which is rather low, which is rather disturbing, and that was why the champions presented their proposal to the embassy that they want to work with the government and the civil societies to make sure that the SDG implementation is accelerated and improved in Uganda. And that was one thing that we shared the experience from, having the SDGs embedded in the documents, both at the central and the local level. The second one, documentations would not make results to come if there is no budget and resources to implement this. And this is again a call towards prioritization in terms of the funding. If we make a commitment, we have to follow it with the funding, because the funding makes it possible to happen. And that is one of the things that, yes, we make a commitment, but we also avail the resources. When we talk of enhancing education, we make sure that the funding for the education is there. When we talk of health, we make sure that the funding for the health is there. We don't leave it in documentation, but we also make sure that funding, it goes along with the funding. And this really shows like the commitment at work, the enabling environment is granted. And so looking at that, there are areas for recommendation in terms of increasing funding towards the realizations of the SDGs. And then the collectiveness in the implementations of the SDG, both again at the local and at the central level. This also helps in ensuring accountability. Before, Madam Minister, this is not the first time you're having the forum. Last year there was the forum. The difference this time, it was preceded by the festival where the ordinary citizens were involved. It was quite impressive on how, for example, yesterday the mayor was being grilled by the women from Mera Market. And those are the kind of things that really make the local person part of the SDG. We talk of leaving no one behind. If we just come with the stakeholders and they go and they don't interact with the ordinary people, it would underscore the importance of the SDGs. Of course, the leave no one behind is a continuous. Even Denmark, that has really progressed. It's still one of the recommendations when we did the 2021 review. It was one of the recommendations they gave Denmark. Look at all the areas, make sure that everyone they are involved. In Uganda, we started where there was presentations on the number of areas where the